If you're already quite comfortable with coordinate grids and plotting points, including with negative x and y coordinates, then you can skip this lesson. But if you're not fully confident on it, then it's worth spending a few minutes here. So what is a coordinate grid? Something like this. We've got a grid with a horizontal line with numbers on it and a vertical line with numbers on it. The horizontal numbered line is called the x-axis and the vertical one is called the y-axis. Sometimes we use different letters, but generally it's x and y, and when someone refers to the x-axis they always mean the horizontal one and the y-axis always means the vertical one. Coordinates are numbers that tell us where a point is. We use them with maps as well. You might have heard of 4-figure grid references or 6-figure grid references. So this is the same kind of thing, but on a simpler grid. Each point on the graph is described by a coordinate pair, so an x and a y. The point in the bottom left-hand corner of this grid, where the axes cross, is 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis, so it's called 0, 0, and it's also called the origin. When you're plotting a point, always use a cross. Don't just plot blobs because we want to be accurate. When you're finding a coordinate point, you always start from the origin. The x-coordinate tells you how far to go horizontally to the right. And the y-coordinate tells you how far up to go to get to the point you're looking for. So for example, if we were looking for the point 5, 3, we'd start at the origin and we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right and 3 up, like that. So our point 5, 3 is here. You might find it helpful to think x is across, so we go across, and y's up, as in get y's. Also remember x comes before y in the alphabet, so the x-coordinate always comes before the y-coordinate in a coordinate pair. It's always xy, never yx. Right, your turn. On your copy of this grid, I'd like you to plot these 4 points and label them. And then I would like you to work out the coordinates of points A, B, C, and D. Pause the video, have a go at it, and once you've got your answers, press play to continue and see whether you got them right. Okay, so here are the answers. Number 1, we've got 2 across and 7 up. So 2 to the right, 7 up takes us to here. Then we've got 3 to the right and 1 up to here. 8 to the right and 10 up. So 8 to the right, 10 up takes us right up to the top there. And the last one is 5 to the right and 0 up. So we don't go up at all, we just stay on the x-axis. Then for A, B, C and D, A is 1 across and 4 up, so that gives you 1, 4. B is 6 to the right and 9 up. C is 9 to the right, and it's actually between 2 and 3, isn't it? It's midway between 2 and 3, so that makes it 2.5, 2.5 up. So the points don't have to always just be plotted on the points where the grid lines cross. They can be anywhere. Just like when you plot a graph, they're not always on the grid lines, are they? And then we've got D, which is 0 across and 8 up. So notice we had D, which was 0 across and 8 up, so the x-coordinate was 0 and the point was on the y-axis. And with 5, 0, it was the other way round. The y-coordinate was 0 and the point was on the x-axis. And that's always the case. If the x-coordinate is 0, you're on the y-axis. If the y-coordinate is 0, we're on the x-axis. Useful thing to remember. Now, so far, we've only looked at points where x and y are both positive or 0 in a couple of cases. These points are in the first quadrant of the coordinate grid. That's what we're looking at here. On the next slide, we're going to look at the other quadrants and points with negative coordinates. So here we've got a 4-quadrant grid. So each of these 4 sections is called a quadrant. The origin that was in the bottom left corner before is now in the middle where the 2 axes cross. So you've still got your x-axis and your y-axis. The first quadrant was the area we were looking at before, where all the x and y coordinates are positive. Your axes can go up and down to any number, by the way. I've just used 10s here for convenience, a nice round number. The second quadrant is this one here, the top left. When you're dealing with points in this quadrant, you need to go left from the origin. Now remember, the x-coordinate is how far to the right you're going. So that means that if you're going left, you're going to the right by a negative amount, aren't you? So your x-coordinate is negative. So for example, the point negative 5, 2, we go 5 to the left, which is the same as negative 5 to the right, and then up 2. So we end up here, like that. If we move down to the next quadrant, the third quadrant, now we're going to the left and we're also going down, so the y-coordinate is also going to be negative. So as an example, we've got negative 3, negative 8. So we go 3 to the left and 8 down, and we end up down here. One more quadrant, and that is of course the fourth quadrant. And when we get into this section, we're back to positive x values because we're going to the right again, but we're still going down on the y values, so the y is still negative. So for an example, we've got the point 7, negative 4. We're going 7 to the right and 4 down. So our point 7, negative 4 is here. Now your turn. Here are some points for you to plot on your copy of the grid. And then work out the coordinates of points A, B, C, D, E, and F. Remember, x is across to the right and y is up. So negative x means left, negative y means down. Pause the video, have a go at it, and press play when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, here are the answers. So first one, negative 2, 7 is here because we've gone 2 to the left and 7 up. Then 3, negative 4, that is 3 to the right, negative 4 up, which is 4 down. So 1, 2, 3 to the right, 4 down, we end up here. Then we've got negative 8, 10, so we're going 8 to the left and 10 up. Negative 9, negative 3 is 9 to the left and 3 down. And then 5, negative 7 is 5 to the right and 7 down. So we're here. And we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. So A is 6 to the right and 2 down. So that is 6 and negative 2. B is 1 to the left. So that's negative 1 and 4 up. C is 4 to the left, so that's negative 4, and 2 down, so that's negative 2. D is 9 to the left, negative 9, and 5 up. E down here is 2 to the right and 9 down, so that is 2 and negative 9. And F is 6 to the left, so negative 6, and 7 and a bit down. Between negative 7 and negative 8, midway between, so it's negative 7.5. So now that you know how a coordinate grid works, you're ready to start looking at the equations of graphs.